granniopteryx, granniopteryx. She knows the truth, she's linking every link.
Hello, I spent about 2 hours this morning researching Labour Party donors, and then I discovered this. Well, actually, it wasn't that I discovered. It was this. Katie Hopkins was threatened with arrest if she did not go to the police station for an interview where she was interviewed under caution. And that could mean that they're trying to build an imprisonable case against her. And this contrasts rather sharply with this guy who said he was protecting his religion when he went after a protester outside the Turkish embassy with a knife. Okay, so I'll tell you all about Katie Hopkins and compare and contrast it with this when I've told you that I'm granniopteryx. When I've asked you to like this video, go on, click the like now. It doesn't do you any harm, and as I remind you, you can unclick it if I say something you object to. Okay, you click like, subscribe to my channel, and share the video if you feel so inclined. If you want to help me financially, that's lovely. All the links whereby you might do that are in the description. Right, which one should I do first? I'll start with the Koran knife man. And what happened was this. On the 13th of February in Rutland Gardens, Knightsbridge, which is apparently the Turkish embassy, a chap called Hamit Koskun set fire to a Koran, or some pages thereof, as a protest about the way the Turkish government was being run. Koskun, that's this fellow here, who is half Kurdish and half Armenian, travelled from his home in the Midlands and set fire to the Koran at about 1400 GMT, prosecutors previously said. This fellow here, Musa Kadri, then approached and asked Koskun why he was burning the Koran. And Koskun could be heard in footage making a reference to terrorists. Kadri swore, called him an idiot, and said that he was coming back. And then he returned holding a knife. He slashed at Koskun. There might be, here. Here's a still from the video. And what's even worse, when Koskun was actually kicked to the ground by Kadri, this delivery driver, a food delivery man, obviously another Muslim, stopped and started attacking Koskun as well. But then he cycled off, and I don't suppose they could find him. What happened after that was that Koskun was prosecuted for causing alarm and distress. The guy who was burning the Koran, he was prosecuted for causing alarm and distress. Kadri also had to stand before the beak on account of him wielding a knife at another citizen. And what happened to him? He was given a bit of a telling off. He told the police he was protecting his religion, and Judge Adam Hiddleston handed him a 20-week prison sentence, suspended for 18 months. So he got a prison sentence, but it was suspended, so that just means for 18 months he's got to be on his best behaviour. But this fellow here, the Koran burner, was given a £200 fine for, as I said, causing alarm and distress, even though this fellow had attacked somebody with a bladed weapon, like that. He pleaded guilty to assault and having a bladed article in a public place, and he's required to carry out 150 hours of unpaid work and 10 days of rehabilitation. Lord Young, that is the founder and runner of the Free Speech Union, said that after this sort of sentence, it sends a green light. I wonder if that's symbolic. A green light to any Muslim who wants to enforce an Islamic blasphemy by taking the law into his own hands. So I always bring up Lucy Connolly in a situation like this. Lucy Connolly wrote a tweet which she deleted. She didn't attack anybody with a knife. This guy did. Lucy Connolly got 2 years and 6 months in jail, although she didn't spend all of that time in jail. I think she was released after a year, but she's got the extra months hanging over her as a means of controlling her. And this fellow here just got 150 hours community service, which probably will be in some sort of Muslim centre, I suppose, and means he probably won't be doing very much. OK, and at the same time, we have this. Katie Hopkins was invited under threat of arrest to go to speak to the police, to have an interview under caution at the police station because she'd said something during a podcast of some sort. She had, during lockdown, started a weekly, she calls it Katie's Arms, which is a reference to the sort of name you get in public houses here in Britain, you know, the Queen's Arms, the King's Arms, and they're actually referring to the heraldic arms, you know, the shields with all the with all the stylized pictures on them. But she apparently said something that disagreed with somebody, and she was invited to talk to the police under the Malicious Communications Act. Now, before I tell you what she'd said, I just want to point something out to you. In 2016, I think it was, there was a petition to arrest Katie Hopkins for hate speech. So there are plenty of people who don't like Katie Hopkins and who will try to get her arrested. This was, I think it was, it's 2014. And the petition was rejected. So, 2014, we were still fairly sane in this country. But you can see that there was some acrimony there already. Now, what Katie Hopkins did was, during the course of this evening's interaction with her viewers, she referred to herself as a spaz. Now, I don't know whether some of you have ever come across that. I know people in Britain have. It's a shortened form of the word spastic, and it used to be fairly common. I don't know if it's still used that much. It was a form of insult that usually children used to each other. And it referred to the fact that spastic, or people with cerebral palsy, have limited control over their extremities. And that was frequently also taken to indicate that they were of below average intelligence, which of course isn't necessarily the case at all. But that was it. That was the insult. The insult was spastic, shortened to spaz. And why did Katie Hopkins refer to herself as a spaz? Well, in case you didn't know, Katie Hopkins had epilepsy and would end up with, I believe, up to 4 or 5 seizures, especially at night. And she'd frequently wake up with a dislocated shoulder, or that sort of thing. And she tried to disguised this when she went for a career in the army. Her ambition was to be the first female general, and I'm sure she would have fulfilled that. But then one day somebody found her in the middle of having a fit, and that was it. She was out of the army. She has a habit of being somewhat forthright in her expressions. In October 2015, she attacked overweight kids by saying, "I refuse to speak to fat children." And then she took on the mentally unwell. To be diagnosed as depressed is the holy grail of illnesses for many, the ultimate passport to self-obsession. Get a grip, people. Well, actually, now I'm probably risking my own freedom here. I tend to agree with her in the way she's phrased this. To be diagnosed as depressed is the holy grail of illnesses for many. She didn't say everybody who's diagnosed as depressed is a fake illness. She said for many. And as it so happens, even this government has started to talk about the problem of people saying they're depressed and refusing to go to work and living on benefits. And it says here Hopkins has been questioned by police on multiple occasions for investigations relating to hate crimes. She said she went for this operation on her brain to deal with the lesion that was causing the epilepsy. It was a very dangerous operation, but now the epilepsy seems to have been cured. It says here, Hopkins regularly woke up with a dislocated arm. In a 3-year period, this happened 42 times. On each occasion, Hopkins ignored the pain and forced herself to run just to prove it hadn't got the better of me. So it looks like she's as hard on herself as she is on everyone else, really. She began suffering from epilepsy when she was a teenager and had been hospitalised 26 times in the last 9 months when she gave an interview to The Guardian in 2014. So that's interesting. She gave an interview to The Guardian saying she'd been hospitalised for epilepsy, and yet somebody started a petition to arrest her in 2014, in November 2014. So some months after she'd already confessed her epilepsy to The Guardian. Yeah, I'd say that was probably a definition of heartlessness, but that's where the left is most of the time. I am assuming that's the left. I would probably lay money on that if asked to. Okay, so she's never asked for pity about her condition, and she doesn't give herself any pity about that either. And as far as the information I have, she called herself a spaz during a show and was reported for it. And the police took the report up and threatened to arrest her if she didn't turn up to have an interview under caution. This guy here, Musa Kadri, who went after somebody with a knife, got a suspended sentence, while the person who burnt the Koran, Hamit Koskun, he got arrested and a £200 fine. Make it make sense. Till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.